no, 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 oh, no, no, no. I feel like I have to run from my fear, because after selling over 30,000 copies of my book, You Deserve the Shit, I'm finally announcing I'm writing my next book. But this time, I'm gonna do it differently. You know, I really wish my favorite authors like Mark Manson, Michael A. Singer, James Clear documented the process of writing the book from start to finish, but they didn't, and I wish they did. And so this time around, I'm gonna document the process of writing my book start to finish here on YouTube, and it's gonna be a wild ride, and I wanna take you along for it. So, let's get into it. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jordan Tarver. I'm an author and speaker based out here in Seattle, and I'm the author of the book called You Deserve This Shit. You might have seen it on TikTok. It was going viral for a couple of years. It sold over 30,000 copies, and I'm getting ready to write my next book. And I thought, what a cool thing to do to peel back the curtain, let you in behind the scenes, and kind of start to show and document what goes into writing a book, what goes into writing a best-selling book, how to make it happen. Before I really start that process, it's probably good to explain what the heck is behind me. I read a book a while ago, The Creative Act, I have it over here, by Rick Rubin, and there was one quote in it that really stuck out to me, and he said, "The way you've done it isn't the best way to continue to do it." And that hit me really hard, because as I was starting to think about writing another book and thinking about that process, it really was an invitation and a prompt to think about this book differently, think about how I approached the outline, the concept, the understanding of the idea. And so I thought, you know, I really wanted to pour more playfulness, more joy, more creativity into this book. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take it to the wall. I'm gonna get color, Post-it notes. I'm gonna plaster my wall with all these ideas. I'm gonna see it every day I come into my office and just be really inspired. And it has honestly just unfolded into this really beautiful journey. But before I even did that, I had an opening ceremony I did for myself where I asked myself 4 simple questions. First question was, what can I do and make for the universe with this channeled product? And the second question I asked myself was, how do I want people to feel when they read this book? So how do I want you to feel when you read this book? Third question I asked myself was, how do I want to feel when I write this book? How do I want to feel when I work on the outline? How do I want to feel when I write chapter 22? How do I want to feel when I finish the book? Finally, the fourth question I asked myself was, how do I want this book to serve the world? I wanted this project to have a lot of intention, have a lot of depth, and this was just a really beautiful way to open up this container to create in. And after I finished the ceremony, I then started brainstorming on the wall. So right now, this wall looks a lot more organized than it did about a year ago, because I did that opening ceremony on May 3rd, 2023. And the reason why I did it so long ago is because I really wanted to understand this concept so deeply that when I got to the place where I was ready to actually write the chapters, I knew exactly what I wanted to say, and I wasn't questioning the idea and the concept of the book, but I was really confident in it. And then so I started, you know, brainstorming on the wall. This is, like I said, a lot more organized than it was before. Before, it was just a bunch of yellow Post-it notes everywhere, and it was just ideas, no rhyme or reason, just ideas. And then after that process, I started to find clusters of ideas that really were relative to each other or could be grouped together. And then from there, I started to form some ideas of what could be chapters. And that's what you see here. But this is V1 of the chapters. I'm actually getting ready to take this down soon as I continue to work on the outline, and I'll make a new wall that has the new representation of what the book is and where we're at. So now that you know all the things that I've been doing for the last year that brought me to this point with this creative wall behind me, it is finally time to start writing this book in public so you can see all the things that are gonna go into it, and honestly, so we can write this together.
Nobody tells people who are beginners, and I really wish somebody had told this to me, is that all of us who do creative work, like, you know, we get into it, and we get into it because we have good taste. But it's like there's a gap that for the first couple years that you're making stuff, what you're making isn't so good, okay? It's not that great. It's trying to be good. It has ambition to be good, but it's not quite that good. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, your taste is still killer. And your taste is good enough that you can tell that what you're making is kind of a disappointment to you. You know what I mean? A lot of people never get past that phase. A lot of people at that point, they quit. And the thing I would just like say to you with all my heart is that most everybody I know who does interesting creative work, they went through a phase of years where they had really good taste, they could tell what they were making wasn't as good as they wanted it to be. They knew it felt short. It didn't have this special thing that we wanted it to have. And The thing I would say to you is everybody goes through that. And for you to go through it, if you're going through it right now, if you're just getting out of that phase, you got to know it's totally normal. And the most important possible thing you could do is do a lot of work. Do a huge volume of work. Put yourself on a deadline so that every week or every month you know you're going to finish one story. Because it's only by actually going through a volume of work that you're actually going to catch up and close that gap. And the work you're making will be as good as your ambitions.
All right, I just got done with a writing session, and today I was really focusing on the next part of this outlining process. And so I originally started with this rough draft outline, which is where I started everything on my wall. And that was just to get the ideas flowing and get the main concept and foundation of the book built. And then now I'm refining those ideas because they were just a big grab bag of ideas, and now I'm trying to refine them, make them tighter, make them more concrete. And after today's session, I have about 12 chapters built out to a place where I feel really confident with the direction of them. I don't want to share too much about the concept of the book quite yet, because the reason I'm doing this really in-depth outline process right now is because I'm going to talk to some publishers, talk to some literary agents, and see what direction I want to go next with the book. And so when you think about the publishing world, there are actually 3 models now that you can use when you want to publish a book. And so the first model is the traditional model. It's one people are most familiar with. It's when the publisher pays you in advance of, let's say, $40,000. You write the book, you publish the book, and then when you go out and sell the book, the first $40,000 that you make on the book go toward the publisher to repay them back. And then you start earning a royalty, which is only about 10%. So a really small royalty rate. And also another disadvantage to the traditional model is you often lose creative control. The other model you can do is a self-published model, which is what I use for my book, You Deserve the Shit. And you can use companies like Amazon, for example, is who I used. And the nice thing about self-publishing is you retain all the creative control. You make a higher royalty rate, about 60%. However, everything falls onto your plate and you have to manage the entire project. It's a lot of work, but it's a great entry point. Now there's a third model, which is a lot newer, and this is the hybrid model. So it's a hybrid of the traditional and the self-published. So instead of receiving an advance from the publisher, you're actually gonna finance the book yourself. So let's just say it costs $50,000 to produce your book. You're gonna finance that amount. However, you retain more creative control and you have royalties up to 85% depending on the publisher that you work with. For me right now, I am choosing between the traditional and the hybrid. I don't think I'll do self-publish again. I'm really grateful that I did that because I think self-publishing this book, it taught me a lot about the industry and it gave me just a really good foundation of experience to use in this next book. And one of the other reasons I want to work with a publisher or some type of team is because I truly believe that the greatest products are not created by one person. If we look at the biggest musicians in the world, the biggest personalities, the biggest performers, they all have a team. And so when I was thinking about this new book project, one thing I knew from the very start is I didn't want to do it alone. And so I have a call coming up with a publisher to get some feedback on the concept. I haven't told anyone about the concept of this book besides my wife. So this will literally be the second person I've told about the concept in depth. So I'm really excited to see how he receives it and just like the overall feedback to make sure that this idea is as good as I believe it is. Gotta remember this feeling when you find out what brings you fulfillment in life. And for me, it's expressing myself through my words. It feels good every time I do it. Dance party was inevitable after that session, to be honest. I feel like in that session I reconnected with the fulfillment I get from writing and putting together groups of words in ways that make an impact and are easy to understand. And I think it's really easy to get lost in life and forget about what makes you fulfilled when you're not prioritizing the things that once brought you love and once brought you joy. And for me, that's writing. And for a while, before working on this book, I feel like I lost that connection. I forgot that I loved it so much. And I just want to record this right now because I want this to be my reminder anytime I feel lost and I feel unfulfilled. Just go back to the words. Just go back to a simple 1-hour session in my office with a candle on, good music, and just connecting with source. I mean, that's where I connect with my truth. And I just feel so good after working on this outline. Like I'm onto something magical. I'm onto something magical.